Chapter 13. My what? With a puzzled look on his face, Harry asked, "What's that you say? It sounded like you said he was my son." "That's what I said, and that's who he is. Ernest, this man is your father. His name is Harry," said Martha. "Daddy? Are you dead too? My mama told me my dad died in a war," said Ernest. Harry stood dumbfounded and looked at Susan, who was as confused as Harry. "See there, I was never in the service, and thus proves I am not this boy's father," said Harry. "His mother just told him that, so she didn't have to tell him you were just a one-night stand," said Martha. "One-night stand, moi? Why, never. How long ago? Was she blonde?" "Oh, said Harry. Oh, what do you mean, oh, asked Susan, doing the math in her head. "How old is he again? When did he die?" questioned Susan. "Don't get crazy, Susan. His mother was a one-night stand with Harry about a year before Harry met you," replied Martha. "Now I remember her, but not her name," said Harry. "Ernest, what was your mother's name?" asked Susan. "Mommy. I call her Mommy," said Ernest. "Why, of course you did, dear," said Martha. "Her name was Eloise." "Eloise? Really? I think I would have remembered Eloise," said Harry. "Geez, Harry, how many one-night stands did you have before meeting me?" asked Susan. "I don't know. I was single and I had just landed my first real job out of college. I was enjoying life with like-minded females," replied Harry sheepishly. "Why, I never," said Susan. "No, actually you did, Susan. Remember, we were a one-night stand about 6 months before we met again at a holiday party hosted by that guy Steve we both knew. We started dating exclusively after that party. Remember?" asked Harry. "Well, I think you have me confused with some other floozy," said Susan. No, you were that floozy. No confusion on my part," Harry replied. Standing on the sidelines, Ernest spoke up. "So, you're my dad? You really are?" "It appears that way, Ernest." Harry looked at Martha. "I have it from a pretty good authority," said Harry. Ernest ran to Harry and wrapped his arms around Harry's legs. Harry didn't know what to do. He had just become a full-time stepfather to Karen's kids within the last year, and now he finds out he is the biological father to a son he never met. "Now what do I do?" he asked openly. "I don't know about you, but I think you owe the kids some chicken and waffles," said Victor, who was off to the side listening to the entire exchange. "I don't think we have any chicken, and maybe I can make 'em some waffles?" "I need a drink," said Harry and asked, "Ernest, do you realize what's happening here?" "I was dead, but now I'm alive again and with my dad," he shouted as he ran out of the kitchen. "Does he know he has to leave here later today?" Harry asked as he gazed at Martha. "I'm afraid not, Harry. He's just a child and may not be able to understand the circumstances at hand," Martha replied. "Harry, you'll need to sit down with Ernest and tell him how he can only visit every Christmas," said Susan. "That seems very cruel for a 5-year-old to comprehend. It's like giving a child a puppy and then taking it away a few hours later," said Harry. "So, now you're comparing yourself to a puppy?" asked Victor. "It's an analogy, Victor. I was referring to being alive again, not being introduced to me. How does a kid wrap their head around the concept of death, life, and crossing over, annual visits? It's difficult for me to embrace, and I have an MBA in finance from Northwestern," said Harry. "You'll just have to explain it to him the best you can. Put a positive spin on it. It's not that he has to go back to heaven, it's that he gets to come back to Earth every year, and every year after that." said Victor. Besides, who doesn't want to go back to heaven? Must be a pretty sweet place, right? Asked Victor as he looked in Martha's direction. We're not allowed to disclose anything about heaven, Victor. You wouldn't understand from our explanation, said Martha. Wait a minute. Didn't Michael's family come back from heaven and now live with Michael again in a new home? Asked Susan. Why can't Ernest stay here with us? Yeah, why can't he? Chimed in Harry. Well, it's much more complicated than just being given a second chance at life, Harry. This whole things are made of matter paradigm plays a big part in the returning to life option, and many people sacrifice their privilege to take a life's form so Ariana and the children could stay with Michael. Oh, it's very complicated, Harry, Martha said. But Ernest has been dead for over 20 years, protested Harry. Harry, 20 years is less than 1,000th of a millisecond in the universe of God, and things like this still don't happen very often. It truly is a miracle, and miracles are very rare these days, said Martha. Maybe it's time for another miracle, said Susan. Giving a little boy life again is not a very impressive miracle. Stopping all wars, bringing peace to all people, and eliminating all disease and illness are true miracles. A little boy being reunited with his father, who he never knew and was born out of wedlock, is not a miracle. Harry, it's an episode of Jerry Springer, said Martha. Jerry Springer? Come on, Martha, that's not very fair. I didn't even know I was the father until 20 minutes ago, said Harry. Quite like the men on Jerry Springer, replied Martha. And they were with someone else and cheated on their partner. I did not cheat on Susan. I didn't even know Susan yet when I had the encounter with Eloise, said Harry. I guess I'm old school. I don't believe you have intimate relations with another person unless you truly love them and are already married, said Martha. What? What century are you living in? Asked Victor. The 20th, replied Martha. Oh yeah, good point, replied Victor. Martha, isn't there something we can do to keep Ernest with us? Make him part of our family? Asked Susan. Susan, all you know about this child is that he loves chicken and waffles. Why are you so intent on making him part of your family? Asked Martha. Because he's Harry's son. He needs to be with his father, Susan replied, as do millions and millions of other deceased children. Don't you think they would like to be with their fathers too? Asked Martha. Harry never even knew Ernest existed, and Ernest did not know Harry until just a while ago. Why is it so vital that Ernest join this family unit? Asked Martha. I don't know. It just is, answered Susan. Meanwhile, as the debate over Ernest goes on, Lindsay and her mom are embracing each other on the couch. Lindsay can't believe her good fortune to be able to hold and feel her mother's love, even though she has succumbed to her battle with cancer just a few weeks earlier. Mom, I'm so happy that you could come back and visit me. If it weren't for my relationship with Victor and the Hills family, I would never have seen you again, said Lindsay. I know, Lindsay. I can't believe this is happening, and to think I can visit you every year from now on, Doris said. That kind of scares me, Mom. I don't think I'm in love with Victor. He's nice, and I like him very much, but I don't see us staying together for long term. Then what happens? Do I lose my privilege of being able to see you again? Do I need to stay in a relationship with Victor so I can see you? Because if that's what it takes, I'll make the best of it with Victor, said Lindsay. It is my understanding that Friends of the Hills can return to the house for visitations, said Doris. But I think that only applies to the dead, not living friends, replied Lindsay. Oh my, that is a pickle. Maybe we should ask Martha, said Doris. Lindsay and Doris seek out Martha and explain their concern about future visitation rights. You will be able to return to this house in the future, Lindsay, because you have already been here this initial time. You are kind of grandfathered in, if you know what I mean. However, if Victor or the Hills do not want you to come to the house on Christmas, you need to respect their decision," said Martha. "So I had better break up with Victor in the nicest way possible to avoid hard feelings?" asked Lindsay. "Well, yes, but it's more than that. What if 10 years from now Victor gets married? Would his wife appreciate his old girlfriend spending Christmas with her husband?" asked Martha. "I see," said Lindsay. As Doris and Lindsay continued to converse with Martha about the magical house's rules and regulations, the other guests to the home began to congregate in the family and kitchen area. It became apparent why the guests arrived at the house with trays of cakes, cookies, and other culinary delights as they grabbed plates and stacked them high with a variety to consume. "Hey, look, someone brought a whole tray of waffles," said Rose. "Now, if someone else brought some chicken, we're in business," said Susan. As the day progressed, there were endless conversations about anything imaginable. Some of the older folks were discussing Pearl Harbor as if it happened yesterday when, in reality for them, it had. Not yesterday, but on December 7th, just a few weeks before Christmas back in 1941. 3 of the guests were brothers who had perished on the battleship Arizona and were descendants of Susan's. People picked up where they had left off when they died. Thus, conversations were quite varied by subject and time-sensitive. They wouldn't believe it when the Murphy brothers were told that the St. Louis Cardinals beat the New York Yankees in the 1942 World Series. "How could the Cards beat Joe DiMaggio and the Yanks?" one of them said. It wasn't until Victor showed them the series details on his computer that they started to believe. Still, they were more amazed about technology advances as Victor searched Yahoo for the information desired. "Where did you get that magic box from?" one Murphy brother asked. This is a computer," answered Victor as he continued to Yahoo. "Why don't we grab a few chairs and I can try to explain how technology has changed over the last 100 years, if you're interested, of course," said Victor. "I'm interested. That thing is like nothing I've ever seen," said one of the brothers. Victor and the brothers gathered around the computer while laughter and song filled the house. People who had never met before were forming friendships and, in some cases, even relationships with one another, all thanks to the power of the magical house. The Hills were so busy entertaining the unexpected guests that they forgot about exchanging gifts Christmas morning. Here it was mid-afternoon, and Rose and Ernest came running to Harry. "Dad, did Santa bring us presents?" asked Ernest. Harry wasn't sure what to say. He had no presents for a little boy. "Susan, I think Rose and little Ernest here would like to get their presents from Santa," said Harry as he winked at Rose, for she no longer believed in Santa. "Crap, presents. I forgot about the presents. Yes, of course, let's get the kids together so we can exchange gifts," said Susan. Harry came behind Susan and whispered, "Do we have anything that we can give Ernest?" "Harry, 5-year-olds are easy to please. If we have an empty box around here, he'll play with it for hours," she replied. Harry tracked down Victor, still in the living room with the Murphy brothers, and explained the situation with getting Ernest some gifts. Victor told Harry he would find something in his room and wrap it so Ernest would have a present to open. Harry told Victor to tag the gift to be from Santa. About 20 minutes later. "Attention, please. The Hills are going to exchange gifts in the family room. If you would like to watch, please proceed to the family room at this time," said Martha. As many of the guests proceeded to the family room, Harry, Susan, Victor, Caitlin, Rose, and Ernest were sitting in a circle with a large pile of gift-wrapped presents. "Okay, who wants to play Santa?" asked Harry. Victor started to say that he would, but was cut off. I think I would be the best choice for that task, Harry, said a man dressed in a beautiful red Santa suit as he walked into the center of the room. The man was very tall and wore gold-rimmed spectacles perched on his bulbous nose. His cheeks were rosy as they reflected off his pure white beard and mustache. He wore a traditional Santa hat and white gloves. The Santa suit was very impressive, with embroidered images of children's faces on the red velvet surface. Trimmed in white fur, the suit fit the man like a custom-made glove. A large black belt with a shiny gold buckle hugged the man's waist as the patent leather boots made a clicking sound on the hardwood floor as he walked. "Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everyone!" the man announced in a deep yet jovial voice. "Merry Christmas, Santa!" all of the guests replied. Now Harry and Susan were thinking they had a wee bit too much eggnog and were imagining the presence of Santa in their family room when Victor came to them. "Is this someone you guys hired or something? Who is this dude?" Victor whispered. "I'm Santa Claus, Victor. Don't you remember me?" the large man in the red suit asked. "Remember you? Well, yes, I guess, in a general kind of way," replied Victor. "Do you remember the Christmas when you were just 6 years old and wanted a drum set, but your father said no?" asked Santa. "Yes, but he changed his mind and I got the drum set anyway," Victor replied. "He did not change his mind, Victor. I brought you that drum set. Your dad thought your mom had bought the set for you, while your mom thought your dad had given in. They never did figure out it was me that brought you the gift you wanted more than anything else that year," said Santa. Victor looked at Harry and Susan for some type of acknowledgement, but they were too clueless about who the man in the red suit truly was. They all looked around, trying to spy on Martha, but she was nowhere in sight. Santa asked for a chair, made room in the center of the room, and took a seat. "Ho, ho, ho! Where is Ernest?" he asked. "Here, Santa, here I am!" Ernest shouted with much excitement. "There you are, my boy. Come to me and sit upon my lap," Santa said. Ernest, smiling ear to ear, makes his way to Santa and holds his arms up to the large man sitting in front of him. Santa reaches down and lifts Ernest up into his lap. Ernest is transfixed on the man's face and cannot look away. "So, Ernest, have you been a good boy?" Santa asked. Ernest just nodded his head up and down. "You have? Well, that is very good. I didn't see your name on my naughty list, so I assumed you had been a very good boy this year," Santa said. "I'm not on your list because I'm dead," Ernest said, and the room fell silent. "My child, you are never dead in the eyes of God. I am an angel of God just as you are, and we celebrate the birth of Christ together, whether we are living or a spirit. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Santa asked. "I think so." "I have been good," said Ernest. "Yes, I'm sure you have been, Ernest. What do you want for Christmas, Ernest?" Santa said. "I already got my present, Santa. I got my dad for Christmas," Ernest replied. Looking on, Harry teared up but remained composed. "Yes, I heard about that, Ernest, and today you were also given the miracle of life once again, if only for this single day. That is quite a magnificent gift, isn't it?" Santa asked. "Yes, Santa, it's been a great Christmas," said Ernest. "Is there anything else you would like, Ernest? Remember, you cannot take the gift back with you to heaven if it's made of matter, but it will always be here for you to play with in the future Christmases," said Santa. "I get to come back again?" asked Ernest. "Yes, as of this moment you will be able to come back as long as your dad lives in this magical house," Santa replied. "I want one of those cell phones like Victor has," Ernest stated. "Oh, you want a cell phone? What would you do with a cell phone, Ernest? Seems like a very sophisticated gift for such a young boy," Santa said. I need a phone to call my dad when I'm not here, Ernest replied. I suppose you have earned it, said Santa as he reached down into the pile of presents in front of him and pulled out a small package wrapped in gold paper and tagged, "To Ernest, from Santa." Santa handed the present to Ernest, and the people gathered and watched as Ernest tore the paper off the package to reveal a flip phone. "It's a phone just like I wanted. Thank you, Santa," yelled Ernest as he hopped off Santa's lap and ran to Harry to show his dad the cool phone he had just received. "Look, Dad, Santa brought me a phone. Now I can call you every day until I come back next Christmas. Isn't that great, Dad?" Ernest asked. Harry picked Ernest up into his arms, hugged him tightly, and said, "Yes, son, that is great. Maybe your stepbrother Victor can help you set it up." Victor, can you help me make my phone work so I can talk to Daddy from heaven?" asked Ernest. "Let's see, what can I do, okay? I'm not sure I can. Let's see what I can do, okay?" Victor said as he stumbled with his reply. "Ernest, let's wait a little for you to set up the phone so the others can receive their presents from Santa," Santa suggested. "Sure, Santa," answered Ernest. "Glad you agree, Ernest. Victor, as long as you're up, come sit on Santa's lap," Santa said. "I think I'm a little old to be sitting on Santa's lap," Victor said with a smile. "Don't you believe in Santa, Victor?" Santa asked. "To be honest, I'm not sure at this moment. Being here in your presence has made me questioning my beliefs. This entire day has me very confused," Victor replied. "Confusion can be good at times, Victor. It makes you exercise your brain and expand your belief limits," said Santa. "This is a lot to take in. First, our grandparents come to visit years after they died years ago, and then Lindsay's mom shows up when she just died, and now I have a stepbrother who died over 20 years ago when he was just 5 who will visit every year, not to mention all of the other deceased relatives and friends we've lost over the years are in the house. Lastly, freaking Santa Claus shows up," says Victor. "I can see your point, Victor. That is a lot to take in. You'll sort it all out. Is there anything you would like for Christmas, Victor? Anything I can give you?" Santa asked. "I think I can speak for Caitlin and Rose and ask if you can bring our parents back to us." "Why aren't they here? Why were they banned from visiting their children?" Victor asked. "Martha can further explain what has happened with your parents, Victor, or in your case, your adoptive parents," said Santa. "Yes, I'm adopted, so why aren't my biological parents here? Ernest got to come back to see Harry. Why can't my folks come to see this house?" Victor asked. "Because they aren't dead, Victor. It's a pretty important piece of the criteria to visit," replied Martha, who suddenly appeared in the family room. "My parents are still alive?" asked Victor. "Why, yes. Why did you think they were dead? You were only 17, not 70. Why would they have passed away at such an early age?" Martha asked. "I don't know. I always assumed they died, so I was put up for adoption, not because they didn't want me," Victor snarled. "You don't know the circumstances that led to your adoption, but you ended up with great parents and now great step-parents, don't you think?" asked Martha. "I guess you're right. I'm sorry for going off on a tangent. I don't want anything for Christmas, Santa. Thanks anyways," Victor stated. "That's fine, Victor. I never force anyone to take a present they do not want," said Santa. Victor took Ernest by the hand and walked him into the dining room. "Where's Rose?" "I'm right here. I don't believe in Santa, but I'll take a present if you have one for me," Rose replied. "Come stand by me, Rose. Tell me why you don't believe in me. You believed in me 2 years ago when I bought you that MP3 player you wanted," Santa said. "I still have that player. It's really—" "Wait a minute. How did you know about that? My sister told you, didn't she?" Rose asked. "No, Caitlin didn't tell me anything. I know because I gave it to you," Santa replied. "Okay, sure you did. All right then. I would like a really nice cell phone too, just like the one you gave Ernest, but I want it to be pink," she said, thinking she was stumping the jolly old man. Santa reached down into the pile of presents and pulled out a small box wrapped in bright pink foil with a pink bow on it. Let's see, this one says to Rose from Santa. I guess this is yours, then, Santa said as he handed the present to Rose with a grin. Rose looked at the package and then at Santa. She took the package and slowly opened it to reveal another flip phone, but this one was pink. How did you do that? I didn't ask for a phone until just now. How is that possible? Rose asked. It is possible because I'm Santa Claus and you need to start believing in me again. Can you do that, Rose? He asked. This is a lot to take in. Holy crap, replied Rose. Rose walked away, looking at her pink phone in disbelief as Caitlin made her way to Santa. I'm right here, Santa. As Victor said, all I want is my parents to be back, and not just for today or one day a year. I want them back for good. I want us to be a family again like we used to be. I'm sorry, Aunt Susan, but you're not my mom, and you never will be. Harry, you're a very nice man, and you've tried very hard, but you will never be my dad. We got screwed. Our parents were taken away from us with no good reason. It isn't fair. It isn't fair, and I don't give a shit who you are, old man, but you're not Santa or an angel of God. You're a phony, just like most other people in this world, she shouted. Caitlin, you apologize to this nice gentleman right now. What is wrong with you? Said Susan. What's wrong with me? What the hell is wrong with you? How can you just sit by and watch these little happy reunions when you know we're dying inside to see our parents? Why aren't they here? Why did they die? Why? She cries as she falls to her knees and sobs. Martha comes to Caitlin and hugs her as she rocks back and forth. Caitlin cries uncontrollably and finally lets out her sorrow and frustration. She hasn't cried since her parents died. It was building up for over a year, and we knew she would blow one of these days. Sorry it happened while you were here, Santa, or whoever you are, said Susan. No need to apologize, Susan. She has experienced a traumatic loss at her young age. It'll take time for her to come to terms with what happened, and she'll always ask, why me? Said Santa. Well, I have a couple other homes I need to visit before heading back to the North Pole, said Santa. Safe travels, Santa. Thanks for coming by, said Harry as he walked out with the Santa stranger. So, who are you really? Are you Santa? Asked Harry as he leaned into the man in the red suit. No, Harry, I'm not the real Santa, although there truly is a real Santa. We adults just don't see him anymore. My name is Jack. I used to live next door to Michael and Ariana a couple years ago, Jack said. Oh, you're the neighbor that perished in the fire with Michael's family, Harry replied. Yes, I did, along with my wife. Martha and I have stayed in touch, so she asked if I would play Santa when the real Santa had a conflict on his schedule. Go figure, said Jack. But what about the presents you gave Ernest and Rose? How did you know that they would ask for those exact gifts? Asked Harry. I only knew about the phone for Rose. Martha had overheard Rose telling Ernest that she had hoped to get a pink phone for Christmas, so Martha pulled a few strings to get her a phone here. I have no idea where the phone for Ernest came from. It was already in the pile of presents when I came in, said Jack. Okay, that's strange. Well, thanks for trying to brighten the day up a little. Sorry there was a meltdown. Feel free to come back next year, said Harry. If Martha invites me, I will be happy to attend. I can't come otherwise, Jack replied as he shook Harry's hand, left out the front door, and disappeared into the winter wonderland snow blizzard. Harry watched and closed the door after Jack. That was pretty cool. Meanwhile, Caitlin had settled down and regained her composure. Martha and Susan attended to her with a cup of hot cider and a warm wet cloth to wipe her tear-trail face. I'm sorry, Aunt Susan. I didn't mean to go crazy like that. I need to apologize to Santa, Caitlin said as she wiped her cheeks. Santa had a few other stops to make, my dear. He didn't take any offense, said Martha. But you'll probably be on the naughty list for a few years, said Susan, and they all smiled. Hey, we still have presents to exchange, said Caitlin. I think it would be best to wait until our guests leave at 6 to exchange presents. Ernest will be gone at that time, and we can avoid making him uncomfortable. It's still Christmas until midnight, so we have time," said Susan. For the rest of the afternoon, the family talked with their guests and enjoyed their company. Rose worked on setting up her new phone, and Victor set up the phone Ernest received from Santa. This was an effortless task for Victor since the phone was an old phone of his that he had boxed up, wrapped, and tagged for Ernest. Santa didn't bring it. Victor did. It all worked out for the best.